All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever wondered what really separates good code from truly great, rock-solid software? Well, it's not about being a genius, it's about discipline. And today, we're going to break down the core principles that will totally level up your engineering game.
So what's the actual secret sauce here? Is it about, writing the most complicated algorithm you can dream up? Or maybe chasing after the latest, shiniest new framework? Turns out, the answer is something way, way more fundamental.
And you know what? The answer is way simpler than you'd think. It's not about being the cleverest person in the room. Great engineering is about applying disciplined, foundational practices, day in and day out. That's it.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about the blueprint, thinking before you code. Then we'll get into the craft of building clean. After that, we enter the arena, where we ship and collaborate. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by unlocking your new developer superpowers.
Okay, first things first. Before you even think about touching the keyboard, the most important work has already begun. This is all about the planning, the mindset, and laying a foundation that won't crumble later.
And this is a big one. At the very heart of that foundation is maybe the most powerful and honestly the hardest principle to master. It's the one thing that will save you from so much wasted time and just chaos.
And here it is, YAGNI. It stands for You Ain't Gonna Need It. This is all about the discipline of building only what you need right now, not what you think you might need 3 years down the road. This is your #1 defense against runaway complexity.
Okay, so along with YAGNI, you've got to design first. Seriously, even a quick sketch on a whiteboard can save you from a world of pain. And all of this really boils down to one simple truth. Focus on what your users actually care about. They don't care how clever your code is, right? They just want to know, is it fast and does it actually work?
All right, so we've got our blueprint. Now it's time to actually get our hands dirty and talk about the craft of writing the code itself. These are the daily habits that make all the difference.
Okay, look at this. This says it all, right? On the left, you've got CPS. What is that? Could be anything. But on the right, customer payment status? It's crystal clear. You got to remember, you're not just writing code for a machine. You're writing it for the next human who has to come along and figure it out.
Now this next one. It might feel a little backwards at first, but trust me, it's an absolute game changer. Write your tests before you write the code. Why? Because it forces you to think about what done actually looks like, and you catch bugs when they're tiny and cheap to fix, not when they're a 5-alarm fire in production. And here's the best way to think about your tests. They're your safety net for when you get that dreaded 3 a.m. page. A solid test suite is what gives you the confidence to dive in, find the problem, and fix it without, accidentally setting something else on fire. Okay, here's a big word for a super important idea, idempotency. All it means is that doing something once should be the exact same as doing it 100 times. This is absolutely critical for dealing with real-world messiness, like a flaky network or a user who gets impatient and just mashes the submit button over and over. And of course, you can't talk about clean code without the classics. You've got solid for flexible systems, dry, don't repeat yourself, to fight copy-paste code, and my personal favorite, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. These aren't just acronyms to memorize for an interview, They are the absolute bedrock of writing quality code.
Okay, so you've written some great code. Now what? We have to get it out into the real world, and that means working with a team. This is a whole different ballgame.
And the heart of all modern software collaboration is the pull request, or PR. And look, this is so much more than just a button you click to merge code. It's a conversation. It's where knowledge gets shared, bugs get caught, and the whole team gets on the same page.
Sooner or later, you're going to run into code that's, well, a little messy. Code that works but isn't quite right. This is what we call technical debt. And just like a credit card, if you don't pay it off, the interest just keeps piling up until you're buried. So pay it back, and pay it back fast.
So your code is out there in production. Awesome. But what's it actually doing? That's where observability comes in. It's the story of your system, told through logs, metrics, and traces. Let me put it this way. When everything is on fire, if you can't see what's happening inside your system, you have zero chance of putting it out.
And let's just talk about some real-world truths for a minute. First, get used to reading code. You'll do it way more than you write it. Second, good docs, sometimes they're worth more than the code itself. Seriously. And finally, things will break. It's inevitable. When they do, own it.
A good postmortem builds trust, it doesn't place blame.
Okay, now this is fascinating. This chart shows something called Brooks' Law in action. The basic idea is that throwing more people at a late software project actually makes it later. And you can see it right here. Project B, with just 3 focused engineers, had way fewer bugs than Project A with 8. It's all about communication and focus, not just headcount.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. So what's the big takeaway? These aren't just a random list of rules. When you put them all together, they become something much more powerful. They become your personal toolkit.
So think about what you've got now. You've got the foresight of good design. You have the discipline to keep things simple with YAGNI. You've built a safety net with your tests, you've got the clarity that comes from great collaboration, and the deep insight that comes from true observability. These are your superpowers. And there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the principles that really make a difference. We've gone from the initial idea all the way to production. So I'll leave you with just one question. Which one of these superpowers are you going to start using tomorrow?